Alrighty, guys, as we wait for one of the most gruesome and satirical shows on television, The Boys Season 5, the finale for the Boys universe, we have Gen V Season 2 coming up. And Gen V to me was a pleasant surprise. Now, I've really enjoyed The Boys for what it is, and I enjoy it not because of the gruesomeness or the violence or all the other very crazy things that go on in the show. It is probably not the kind of show that a lot of people who listen to the Access Blockbusters channel typically watch, but that's okay. Again, it's not for everybody. I completely acknowledge it. Really, what makes The Boys so great to me, that I can kind of look past those things that are just not for me, is the story. I think the story and the satire, though I think it has slowly diminished over time, and I think that season 4 was a sharp commentary on what's been going on in the world today or in the United States today. But I think that commentary overpowered the actual story a little bit, because I really think that the Homelander arc of it all has been getting lost a little bit. So I think season 5 is going to be probably a strong return to form, because we're going to end out this show. That being said, when Gen V came out, a spinoff taking place at Godolkin, I was pleasantly surprised. Maybe it just felt fresh to be in a different place in this universe with different characters that I thought were really cool and really interesting. But I really enjoyed the show. So Gen V Season 2 is coming out in just under 2 months, actually, September 17th, 2025, and we're going to probably be doing some reviews about that. We'll see, depending on what goes on then. But we have another trailer for it. We did a little bit of a segment talking about the first trailer when that came out a couple months ago. But here we have a little bit of a bigger trailer. And this trailer reveals a lot. I was on the fence about doing a segment about this until I watched the trailer itself, and I was like, oh, there are actually some very interesting things. So first of all, Starlight. Just immediately off the bat, Starlight is in this show in some capacity. I think the interesting thing about this trailer, just to backtrack even more a little bit, is that season 1 of Gen V ended with most of the characters in that little prison, bunker cell, whatever that was. And the big question is, okay, after Homelander shows up and he blasts Marie, where do they all go? Where did they all end up? And that seems like it's a very trivial thing, which is a little bit annoying to me, to be quite honest with you, because I hate when shows end on these huge cliffhangers and then it's wiped out immediately in the next season because they just had to write around it. And to me, Gen V, I hope doesn't fall into the same trap as Squid Game, and you'll see what I mean when I'm comparing the two shows that are probably very different from one another. But I feel like they have the potential to fall in the same trap. What I mean by this is that Squid Game and Gen V are based on very solid premises. Gen V being Gen V, Generation V at this school, Godolkin, right? Not necessarily beholden to being at this school, but it seems like that's what they're being tied to. Squid Game being tied to the games. So therefore, at the end of their season 1s, it felt like, okay, you can kind of branch out a little bit. You can kind of do something interesting. With Squid Game, you can now have a story about Gi-hoon going after the frontman. And Gen V, you can now have a story about these students who are now trying to take down the school. And it looks like they're doing that, but it also looks like the creators of the show went, oh, wow, well, the one thing that really worked about this show was that they were at the school, so we're going to put them right back at the school. Because that's what this opening framing is. Now, I'm not saying that that's not going to work with Starlight recruiting Marie to say, hey, you got to go back into the school, because it looks like they get out pretty easily. We'll see. We'll see in the first episode of Gen V Season 2. But anyways, she's in there. We also see Black Noir, so that's other characters from the Boys universe. And I'd be very interested to see how the events of season 5 are going to be set up, or maybe not set up, just the world that they live in with this kind of Homelander authoritarian rule that's going on in the United States. The other thing that I wanted to talk about here also is that Marie looks like she's being positioned to be a very powerful superhero, whatever you want to call them. She's being positioned to be what some characters think could be the next Homelander. Maybe not morally, I hope not, definitely hope not, but in terms of power sets, I mean, they keep talking about the fact that she could be powerful. So I think it'll be a question of maybe that's the arc that they're going with in this season, of maybe Marie has a heel turn. Maybe she really does take on that persona and she becomes part of that Homelander succession. Who knows? But I think it's interesting to see that the show is positioning her in that way. So I'm interested to see what they do in the show. Again, like I said, the premise of needing to be at the school, I don't know if they needed to do that for this season, but it looks like they really wanted to, and so they're just putting the kids back in the school. It looks crazy, it looks chaotic, obviously, and we'll have to see what happens there. So guys, what do you think about this second trailer for Gen V, the spinoff for The Boys? Let me know in the comments down below.